Thursday, September 18, 2025. Ladies and gentlemen, greetings and welcome to another edition of the English newscast on Info Television. Our top stories. The National Gendarmerie in Yaoundé presented a group of suspects to the press this September 18, 2025 at the 1st Gendarmerie Region. And rural women and youths of the Ntem Valley Division of the South Region of Cameroon have reaffirmed their unconditional support for President Paul Biya as their candidate for the upcoming presidential elections. And in this newscast, we shall also talk as the 2025 academic year approaches, prospective university students are carefully contemplating their next course of study. Those were our top stories. Details in a jiffy. Once more, good evening, televiewers, and as you heard in one of our lead stories, the National Gendarmerie in Yaoundé presented a group of suspects to the press this September 18, 2025 at the 1st Gendarmerie Region. This was in connection with a murder case in the Nkwabang neighborhood and another case of extortion where a young man poses as a uniform officer. The family of the murdered victim expressed emotional distress, as you tell us in this report. Agnes Ayuk.
Caught with dangerous weapons, hard drugs, TV sets, gas bottles, among other items, this group of suspected culprits were on September 18, 2025, presented to the press at the 1st region of the National Gendarmerie in Yaoundé, presenting two cases, one of theft, which led to the killing of Alain Abeng at the Nkwabang neighborhood.
Nous avons eu affaire à une opération qui s'est déployée en deux temps.
The first case involves an operation that took place in two phases. We were contacted by a citizen who had undergone a burglary. The elements of the first region started investigation, and this helped us to lay hands on the culprits. We have arrested a certain number of the culprits whose exploitation led us to arrest suspects who murdered Alain Abeng, who died in 2024. Tears filled the eyes of the family members of the victim killed in 2024 as the suspects marched out. Mama Hélène Abeng, mother of the victim, recounts that
j'étais là-bas après vers les 13-14 mois.
I was in the house washing bitter leaf. At about 1 p.m. or 2 p.m., I heard a voice calling, "Mama oh, Mama oh." I ran out to ask what the matter was. The person said, "If you do not hurry, you will lose your son." We hurried out and found him in blood. He was tortured. Nobody was there to help him. We took him to the hospital. They said they could not handle the case. He lost too much blood because the static nerve was cut off. We took a taxi to another hospital. They took him, did everything they could, but it was already late.
Ils se sont occupés de lui, faire tout. Mais c'était déjà tard.
The second case presented was that of a young man who poses as a uniform officer, extorting money from citizens.
Nous avons toujours été saisis par une citoyenne.
We were contacted by a citizen who had been a victim of the robbery by an individual who pretended to be a soldier, and he had all the accessories. We started a search where we were able to get hold of the fake military. The fake military equipments were used to attract the victims, where he managed to neutralize them with a taser before being able to either deprive them or rape some. The family of the victim pleads with the government to ensure tight security measures at the Nkwabang neighborhood. They have left vengeance for God and for the law to take its course, while thanking the National Gendarmerie for a job well done.
Rural women and girls of the Ntem Valley Division of the South Region have reaffirmed their unconditional support for President Paul Biya as their candidate for the upcoming presidential election. This was during a guided tour to the newly constructed nursery and primary practicing school and the emergency unit of the Ambam District Hospital. Jude Kenji tells us more.
Thanks to the Circle of Friends of Cameroun, CERAC, under its founder, Chantal Biya, the oldest primary school in the Ntem Valley Division of the South Region of Cameroun has been given a facelift, transforming all infrastructure into a modern environment for learning for pupils of the said institution with nursery and primary sections. At the time of a guided tour of this infrastructure, pupils were seen going about the normal business of the day, very attentive in class and enjoying the precious gesture from the Circle of Friends of Cameroun, CERAC. Created in 1935, its modern facilities give hope and encouragement to the local population to send their children to school for an education. The representative of the First Lady proceeded to the Ambam District Hospital, officially handed over to the state of Cameroon, a building entirely constructed and equipped by CERAC, dedicated to the emergency unit. This was a gesture highly saluted by the local population.
In the Ntem Valley, we are extremely grateful to Madame Chantal Biya, founder and president of CERAC, for her initiative that has brought significant relief to people with sickle cell disease in our border region with Equatorial Guinea, Cameroon and Gabon. We especially thank her for the donations sent to those with sickle cell disease in the Ntem Valley, thanks to the involvement of Madame Lydie Zemeka and Madame Nicole Bikoro, founder president of Sickle Cell Disease Associations in Cameroon.
Maman Nicole Bikoro, merci beaucoup. Moi-même, j'ai un enfant drépanocytaire.
I'm deeply grateful to Madame Chantal Biya for the donation she made to our community. As a mother of a child with sickle cell disease, I'm particularly touched by this initiative. I'm proud of Madame Chantal Biya for her commitment to supporting people with sickle cell disease. Thank you for her valuable support.
De maman.
It should be noted that the First Lady, who is UNESCO's Goodwill Ambassador, founded CERAC in 1995. The association is credited with several humanitarian outreaches across Cameroon, including building schools, making donations to hospitals, reaching out to disaster victims, and fighting against HIV/AIDS.
And we remain in Ambam to say, in a ceremony rich in sound and color, keys of the Ambam District Hospital and Elementary School have been handed over to the directors of both institutions. This was during a ceremony presided over by the representative of Mrs. Chantal Biya, founder of the Circle of Friends of Cameroun, at the Ambam ceremonial ground on Wednesday, September 17. Jude Kenji once more.
The ceremony began with ecumenical prayers for various religious leaders thanking God for the humanitarian gesture from CERAC under its founder Chantal Biya and for the blessings and protection of the presidential couple. Presided over by the representative of the First Lady this Wednesday at the ceremonial ground of Ambam, a locality in the Ntem Valley Division of the South Region of Cameroon. The keys to the emergency unit of the Ambam District Hospital and the government nursery and primary practicing school, constructed, renovated, and equipped by Circle of Friends of Cameroun, CERAC, were officially handed over to the education and health sectors of the locality for the benefit of the population. The event was marked by donations of agricultural tools to the rural women and youths of the Ntem Valley Division. Dr. Grace Jongute, representing the First Lady, presented several farm inputs to farmers and youth groups in the South region, aiming to combat poverty. The items distributed included pesticides, spray cans, and wheelbarrows. She stated that Chantal Biya is profoundly preoccupied with the well-being of children and youth and the ongoing fight against poverty in Cameroon.
To fight against social exclusion, which is a source of insecurity and social division. This is why we have provided various materials and equipment to rural women and youths of Valley du Tem division in order to strengthen the production capabilities. These women and young people are enterprising and dynamic. They need our help to live up to the hopes placed in them. While reassuring you that I will be your spokesperson, I must say that much remains to be done in your division, as well as across the country. The government is putting in great efforts and resources to have things done. To the best of its ability, SERAC will be in its own way contributing to these realizations. Our commitment to the development of the neediest of the compatriots remains unwavering. Given the numerous requests, our social and humanitarian actions follows principle of rotation. In other words, each year the SERAC caravan stops in only one division per region. Our last visit to the Tem Valley was in 2021. I will let you to figure out how long it will be before we return. Given that the South region has 4 divisions, and when we do come back, it will not be to the same subdivision.
The ceremony was attended by personalities of various ranks, including Dr. Cyril Edu Allo, Director General of Budget, Amanclaude Abanda, Resident Representative of Tv Cameroun, and President of the UNESCO ICT Chair for Central Africa, the Mayor of Ambam, Samson Zomo of Ono, as well as parliamentarians, municipal, traditional, and religious authorities from the Tem Valley Division. Rich in sound and color, the event was graced by various artists, giving it the grandeur it deserves. The rural women and youths of the Tem Valley Division, happy and satisfied with the gifts from SERAC, reaffirmed their unflinching support to President Paul Biya as their candidate for the upcoming presidential election in October. All that begins well, ends well.
Away from that, media professionals have been urged on the importance of good journalistic practices during the election period. The call was made this September 18, 2025 during an exchange between the Ministry of Communication and Election Cameroun, chaired by the Secretary General of the Ministry of Communication, Felix Zogo, representing the Minister of Communication. Details in this report.
Awareness raising for journalists and preventing and managing risks disinformation were some key points discussed during this exchange between the Ministry of Communication, Elections Cameroun, and media professionals. While presiding over the exchange, Felix Zogo, Secretary General of the Ministry of Communication and representative of the Minister of Communication, cited the need for media cooperation for a smooth election. Elections Cameroun and the Ministry of Communication judged very necessary to initiate this exchange meeting in collaboration with the press to be able to examine the modalities through which these media professionals can better play their role and assure their mission in the perspective of this very great rendezvous in Cameroon. The objective is focused on providing credible information to the public before, during and after the election.
The LECAM between the Ministry of Communication and the media is to focus all our objective to give the good information, the credible information, objective information, impartial information, so that we cover all the elections that are coming. And I think that if we focus our objective in the way, we will cover this election very correctly.
However, this announcement has been received differently by press persons, with some indicating that expectations weren't met.
We
are leaving from here a bit disappointed because this was not on the order of the day. We are instead faced with a seminar where we are being told on how to cover elections and how to behave during the election period.
Se comporter pendant cette période.
In the presence of ELECAM Director General Eric Esuse, the Ministry of Communication assured that the press would be supported throughout this important stage of Cameroon's democratic history.
Manfe Council, under the leadership of Mayor Robertson Tebenchong Ashu, continues to prioritize the well-being of its population through transparency and civic engagement. In order to keep the public informed, a park talk was organized at the Manfe Motor Park Esplanade, as you tell us, Agnes Ayuk.
Build houses, build stores. Council 2 day for social activities.
The Park Talk event, organized by Mayor Robertson Tebenchong Ashu, brought together the local population and key administrative authorities of the division for a face-to-face exchange on government policies, new reforms, and the services offered by the Manfe Council. The gathering, which took place under the watchful eyes of the Senior Divisional Officer for Manu, Awonfak Aleno Eve Bertrand, accompanied by his general staff, was marked by cultural presentations and musical playback. The mayor of Manfe, Robertson Tebenchong Ashu, used the platform to outline achievements made ranging from infrastructural development to social support initiatives. He also unveiled future plans aimed at improving living conditions and fostering development in Manfe, a cosmopolitan town with growing economic potentials.
And everything where government do for you, now for help you one way or the other to empower you, because government not come for house, for your homes, to give you money one after the other. It will not be possible. But with certain reforms and certain regulations, it enables the government to help alleviate poverty.
Following the mayor's address, the divisional head of taxation enlightened the public on new tax reforms aimed at enhancing revenue collection and public service delivery.
That what we don't do on every leap since when the crisis started, they pay taxes for northwest and southwest or the north. Number one, we will give the provision where the law is stated.
Similarly, the divisional delegates for trade and commerce elaborated on trade-related regulations, urging local business operators to comply with government policies for a better business atmosphere.
We will not support the government for all these years through the troubles, for make sure, say at least, thing they for market Cameroon. You work now for information, say Cameroonians they consume Cameroonian products.
The Civil Status Registrar also took the stage to clarify issues related to birth registration and child identification, while addressing public concerns surrounding recent civil status reforms.
Presentation of marriage certificate of the parents of the child. When me say, if the marriage certificate no dey, we no get right for right papa in name for that birth certificate.
The inhabitants of Manfe had the opportunity to voice their concerns on pressing issues such as security challenges, harassment by customs and security officers, difficulties in acquiring national identity cards, and mistreatment by some council staff and commerce agents.
Because plenty people don't go for make ID card, but for ID card will come. It be like a talk of war. We get hard for work, but we don't feel work because the taxes waiting for road. The way they collect the money for road. The person that refuses my fault for driver, but it's not our fault.
The Senior Divisional Officer, providing clarifications, reassured the population of the administration's commitment to resolving these challenges. He called for continuous dialogue and collaboration between the people and local authorities to ensure peace and progress in Manfe.
The population of Duke in the Mbam and Inobu division will soon experience transformation with two major projects ongoing, notably the construction of a bridge, classrooms and more. When completed, the agricultural basin will experience a boom in agricultural productivity and development. Phillips Enchi completes that story.
Located in the Mbam and Inobu division of the Center region, Duke remains an agricultural hub and a leading producer of cocoa and plantain in the division. Some inhabitants continue to profit from cultivating these key crops. What actually pushed me into the cultivation of cocoa was the death of my father. I was left with my younger sisters and I had nothing to do. So in order to assist them, I had to engage into farming. Since the creation of this administrative unit, the population has been struggling to access electricity, coupled with poor road access across the Mbam River, as canoe remains the sole means of transportation. This hardship is now becoming a fading memory for the people. Thanks to the public investment budget, the population will gain access to electricity in Duke in a few months, an announcement that has left the population in jubilation. For years now, and even during the era of my grandparents, we've never had the opportunity to witness electricity apart from the bush lamps and torchlight. We can now see electric poles planted, and it is getting towards the town. We are very happy about that. Electricity will be here very soon, meaning in no distant time, and all of us will be connected to electricity. We are happy about it. Work on the bridge is set to begin in a few days, a long-awaited project that the local population has been eagerly anticipating. The construction of the bridge is almost done. We are very happy for this because it is going to help neighboring villages too. It has been our wish to see a bridge that connects us and our villages come to reality. Concerning the bridge, it is an important project as it is going to help us transport our agricultural product from the farm to town. The bridge in question is a project that was initiated long before we were born. As you can see, we are here today and it is a reality. Work is ongoing and we are very, very happy about it. These two major projects will definitely give a new face to this locality, which is considered the breadbasket of the Mbam and Inobu division.
And on to something else. As the 2025 academic year approaches, prospective university students are carefully contemplating their next course of study. Often, guardian counselors play a key role in commending their choices. Agnes Ayok talked with some guardian counselors to know whether their advice is being heeded by the students. Her report.
Choosing a field of studies for prospective university students can shape a student's academic journey. It is a decision that should not be made hastily but be approached as a thoughtful and collaborative process involving guidance counselors, students, and family. In the case of students' orientation, experts help the child to choose a field of studies which is already in the student's aptitude. You also have to take into account the environment of the student so that they can focus on their studies. But it is not the counselor that chooses, it is the students. It is important to recognize that sometimes these choices are influenced more by parental ambitions than the student's strength and interest. In reality, the guidance counselor accompanies. He accompanies the child, but at the base, there is the family where the child comes from. Therefore, there is the guidance counselor who is the last link of the chain. The family, then the child. The guidance counselor is in synergy with the family, because when we ask, does your family has the means to do what you want, it is the family that answers this question.
C'est la famille qui répond à cette question.
Guidance counselors have noted that as time passes by, students and their families increasingly value and respect the advice of educational counselors when making such pivotal decisions.
Away from that, we talk religion, as the Christian Women's Association of the Église Presbyterienne Camerounaise on September 17 kicked up with activities ahead of their 4th quarterly conference. The conference will run from September 17 to September 20, 2025 at the BMRC Emmanuel Parish in the Presbyterial Chapel, Jericho, the best place to be. Let's watch.
All dressed in white robes, the Christian Women Association of BMRC Emmanuel Parish of the Église Presbyterienne Camerounaise gathered at the Presidential Chapel, Jericho, the best place to be, for their 4th quarterly conference on September 17, 2025. Starting with the service, the women were urged to cease from criticisms and rather put their trust in the Lord, no matter the challenges faced. The conference equally marks the end of the mandate of the executive. The president was presented with a bouquet of flowers acknowledging her hard work and leadership.
Madame la Présidente Paroissiale.
Dear President of the Christian Women Association in BMRC Emmanuel Parish, Mama Martha, it's with legitimate gratitude that we say thank you for your service in Jericho for these years by leading the women in the BMRC Emmanuel Parish. Jericho Chapel has just one word to say: Mama Betha, you are coming out from a great door, and that may God protect you. While speaking, the president of the Christian Women Association in the BMRC Emmanuel Parish calls on the bureau, which is to take over them, to continue positively where they stopped.
This afternoon, we are starting our conference, and we are at the end of our work in this parish. The recommendation we leave to our girls and mother is they have to be not afraid of the work in this parish.
The day was characterized by animations from the women who processed into the church premises, giving the colorful ceremony the grandeur it deserves. The 4th quarterly conference, which will run till September 20th, 2025, will focus on the presentation of reports from various committees, as well as assessing the work done by the executives for the past 3 years.
And in news out of Cameroon, confusion deepens in Ghana as deportees from the United States of America say they remain in custody despite official denials. And in Libya, naval forces rescued about 35 migrants days after a deadly shipwreck killed at least 50 persons. And in Gaza, thousands continue to flee south as Israel's intensified offense worsen humanitarian crisis. Jessica Nziwum compiled all of that in the following report.
At least 11 of 14 immigrants deported by the United States to Ghana remain in custody in the West African nation, despite Ghanaian authorities insisting they have already been sent back to their home countries. The deportees, speaking to the Associated Press by phone, described being held under terrible conditions at the Bundas military camp on the outskirts of Accra. They said those still detained include nationals from Nigeria, Togo, Mali, Gambia and Liberia. The group was first deported on September 6th At least one deportee has since returned to Gambia and 2 others are believed to have been sent back to Nigeria, but most remain confined at the camp, contradicting Ghana's official line. Ghana's presidential spokesperson told Associated Press earlier this week that all 14 had been sent to their countries of origin, but offered no immediate response to the latest claims. Meanwhile, the Libyan Zuwara Naval Operations Force said this Thursday that they have saved 35 migrants in the rescue mission near Tunisian border on Tuesday. The force released footage of the migrants on rescue boats and of which they are receiving treatment on land. The survivors included 5 women and a child, according to the naval authority in the western town of Zuwara, which is under the control of the Tripoli-based government. Libya has been a main transit point for migrants fleeing war and poverty in Africa and the Middle East. On Sunday, a boat carrying Sudanese refugees that caught fire and sank off Libya's coast left at least 50 dead, according to the International Organization for Migration. According to the Missing Migrants Project run by the IOM, at least 434 migrants have been reported dead and 611 missing off Libya in the past 8 months. Meanwhile, in Gaza, the wounded were taken to Al-Shifa Medical Complex for treatment. The attack came as thousands of residents continue to leave Gaza City amid an Israeli military operation that has intensified over the past 5 days. Witnesses reported that long convoys of vehicles and cars heading south in an attempt to escape the fighting. The displacement, ongoing for 2 weeks, has increased massively since the start of the large-scale offensive, with humanitarian groups warning of worsening conditions for those on the move.
And that does it for tonight's edition of our news. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks very much for your keen attention. Stay in the company of our programs. Have a good evening.